No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
How we doing? Happy Friday, Bronco Nation News. Welcome on in. A special edition here, an ICCU Friday at Bronco Nation News. And with no show yesterday, I needed a reason to give John Mallory his paycheck this week, so we have brought him in on a Friday. And that means we have Jay Tust and John Mallory here. Jay Tust, Sports Director at KTVB, Johnny with KTIK, to talk some basketball. And I think it's going to be a fun three-person discussion here, guys. We kind of break into some of the issues, what we would do differently, and see if we can assist the coaching staff here and get this thing turned back in the right direction moving forward here. But Johnny, Jay, how we doing, guys?
Johnny, you get the honors to that question, my friend.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Jay. I'm sorry to kind of cut into your airtime a little bit today. I know you love your Friday appearance with ICCU, but thanks for making some room. I didn't ask to be here. BJ he said I owed him a shift, so he's doing this. He thought this nice little three-way discussion on Boise State hoops would be beneficial to the viewers. So let's knock it out of the park today, guys. Think about this one time, BJ Rains. The Cincinnati Reds all huddled together, the smartest people in the organization, and they all said, Jay Tust. And they took him. That's really cool, Jay. To have
it is, and yeah, I think they all ended up getting fired. So that's good.
Oh, stop. No, don't look at the glass half full. The Reds as an organization said, Jay Tust. Well done.
Hey, Johnny, what do you think the party was like in Moscow last night? I know this is BNN here, but my goodness, man, a shot of the night from an Idaho kid, might I add.
Crazy, huh? I was watching that. I was watching it live. I think the 727 people in that beautiful arena they had were celebrating too. A little disappointed in the attendance with an undefeated Big Sky team there. But yeah, that's a heck of a win. But Jay, what are you doing? You trying to get people out of here?
No, I was just trying. I was setting you up to say what name's on the side of that building?
Oh yeah, ICCU.
Okay.
I just kind of chuckled because that was literally the last second play that Boise State ran. They inbounded the ball to Cardenas. He just ran down the court and shot up a three. And sometimes it goes in, sometimes it doesn't. And it was funny. All the people saying that, why didn't they set up a play and do all this? And sometimes the guy on Idaho ran up the court, hit a tough three, and they won the game. Like sometimes I don't know. I chuckled when I saw the play because aside from Cardenas cutting right instead of cutting left before he pulled up, it was pretty much the exact same situation.
Yeah, and another thing about that too, like, I mean, it's not the chances you make that shot are not good. I went back and looked on like ESPN's win probability, and after is actually John Riley's little kid that made the shot to put Northern Colorado in front, and they had like a 94.5% chance to win the game. Now there's still about 4 seconds to go, so they were giving Idaho a 5.5% chance to hit a miracle shot. Unfortunately for Boise State, that they weren't able to cash in on that 5% miracle shot, and now they sit at 5-4 in Mountain West play and have an uphill battle staring them in the face the rest of the way.
Jay, are they playing the opening weekend, guys? I mean, I think BJ.
We were talking about this.
He said the same thing, but right now, if the tournament started tonight, Boise State's in the opening round.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, Johnny. I don't think when all is said and done, Boise State will be playing in one of the play-in games. But I mean, let's face it. If the season ended today, they are right now, and unless they right the ship, they will be. And that becomes a really difficult road all of a sudden now. I will say this though too, like I think it'd be pretty easy to spin it as it's not the end of the world because it might give them a chance to get a nice little confidence boost out of the way before they attack the the real meat and potatoes of what's left in the Mountain West and something like that. But as of right now, yeah, you're right, Johnny. Technically, if the season ended today, they would have to play in a play-in game, and that's a pretty disappointing preposition when you think that this was the team that was favored to win the Mountain West Conference for the first time ever just 2 months ago.
I still think when it's all said and done, they'll finish ahead of Colorado State or UNLV. I think one of those two, they're off to good starts, have some nice wins. Colorado State in particular hasn't played at a lot of their tough road trips that they still have to make. So they're a solid team, but I still think they're going to drop down a little bit. They've benefited, in my opinion, by the league schedule for the most part here. I can't. And I know maybe not, Jay, I know you talked about it. Maybe the 6th seed, 1 year, a couple years ago, Boise State was the 6th seed, and we all tried to talk ourselves into, they get to play a bad team in the first game, then go on a run. I mean, you can find any kind of thing. And I do agree, maybe there's something to that, but I think when it's all said and done, this team's probably in the 4-5 game. Maybe it can get up to the 3. And again, New Mexico crushed them at New Mexico. We'll see what happens down the stretch, but I don't see a team in this league, guys, where it's like Boise State has no chance to beat them. I don't. And so you're putting all your eggs in the basket in the tournament, which hasn't been great for Boise State in previous years. I get it. I understand it. But I heard somebody say this on Twitter, or maybe it was on your show, Johnny, or something, but somebody said it and it was right. Like, you now have 11 games to figure out how to win 3 games or 4 in Vegas. I mean, you now have 11 games to figure out the rotations, figure out the lineups, get some momentum going. You have 11 games to try to get ready to win the conference tournament. And yes, Jay, is that the situation anybody, us included, when we picked first to win the league, thought we would be in at this point in the season? No, it's not. But it is what it is, and obviously some changes have to be made. Leon Rice was pretty, with Bob, and also talking to me after the game, saying like, yeah, but it's. I'm tired of this. We're playing too many guys. Some of these guys don't deserve to be out there. We're going to find the whoever it is, and if it's 5, they're going to play all 40 minutes. If it's 6, 7, but it sounds like some quote unquote big changes are coming here moving forward. So Johnny, I know you guys did a whole segment on it on your show. The lineup, I mean, I think we all agree. Obviously, I'm not even going to discuss Degenhardt and Cardenas. And it's funny when people are grasping for straws. There were people trying to rip on both Cardenas and Degenhardt after the game. I just kind of chuckle, but
that's the minority, BJ. That's giving just a couple little voices a platform that they don't deserve. That is not a storyline. That's just a couple of yahoos or whatever Johnny would want to call them out there that are just tweeting whatever. Those people don't need they do not need a megaphone. They do not need a megaphone.
Those two, no issues with them. We're not even going to discuss them. But I think the obvious kind of next change that I think we all agree with is it's time to just kind of hand the keys, so to speak, to Javen Buchanan and say, here's your 33 plus minutes a game. I get he's been a little up and down this year, but I just think his skill set and what he brings to the table. I know defensively, you could maybe have a little bit of question marks there at times, but I think that Javen Buchanan at this point needs to be in there for a good majority of the game. And the other guy that I think maybe the stats don't say you should, guys, but I think Omar Stanley needs to also just get in there, play his 35 minutes or whatever it is, and just say, Omar, one way or the other, we're going to ride or die with you, man. You're our guy. Because I think if you look at the two biggest reasons, in my opinion, that this team is where they are, it's Omar Stanley struggling, and it's Dylan Buchanan not being nearly as good as they probably thought he would be. So I would say for me, it's Buchanan and it's Stanley. Both need to play 30-plus minutes moving forward.
For me, agree. I would say at the end of the year, guys, Javen Buchanan is going to be the second leading scorer on this team, and it might be by a few points. If I'm in this situation too, BJ, I have the same thought process on Omar. Omar, we're going down in a blaze of glory, dude. And we're going to go to Vegas to try to win this tournament in Tyson in the program. And we're going down in a stinking blaze of glory, whether or not, Omar. So you're going to play. My starting five, I got Alvaro on my wings. I'm going Bowie, Buchanan. They give me more than any other two wings I can come up with, and I can play them 33, 34 minutes. And then down low, yes, Tyson, I love you, dude, but you have to play the five. The only time we win and play well, oddly, you're playing the five. Omar will be the four with you, but kind of centered more around you. And then those five, you bring Meadow off the bench, find another guy you can bring off the bench, whether it's Lockett, Keene, Peanut, Ugbo, whatever, and you really tighten that thing up in like old Leon Rice style, guys. Remember when we look at the minutes per game, the starting five would all be at like 33, and then the next person would be at 9. I mean, I think we're going to see that moving forward more so. But Leon, guys, if you practice well and you earn minutes in practice, he finds times to get you in. Lucas Milner starting out of the blue a couple of years ago or whatever it was. So I don't know exactly how he's going to play, but that's how I would. Those five, like those are your best five, and I would just roll with those guys.
And Jay, before you answer, I will say it's kind of funny. That was one of the bigger criticisms of Leon Rice over the last several years is his inability to develop a bench or play more guys, and then the starters kind of run out of gas down the stretch, and that kind of maybe leads to some of the struggles, down the stretch as guys are just gassed. But he tried to play more guys, and they're not producing. And one of the big things, and he's not trying to put this back on the players, but one of the big things he keeps talking about, Jay, is like the inconsistency of some of these players. And they keep giving guys opportunities. Chris Lockett moving into the starting lineup and has had, 3 or fewer points in like 4 of the 6 games he started or whatever. Or some of these guys that continue to, even the first time they moved Buchanan into the starting lineup, I think he was scoreless in one of the 2 games he started or something, or 2 points. I mean, they keep giving these guys opportunities. They're not taking advantage of it, and the inconsistencies where he thinks he has it figured out, and then the guy goes out and does nothing right after he scores, 14 points. That's made it difficult. I don't know if that's on the coaches. I don't know if that's on the players or what, but I think that the inability to find this group and have to play 11 guys, I don't think he really wants to play 11. I just think he hasn't been able to find the right guys that deserve to be out there yet.
Yeah, well, like you said kind of a few minutes ago there, BJ, when you look at Boise State against other teams in the Mountain West Conference, there might not be a number of teams that you would feel intimidated by, right? I do think New Mexico right now is the class of the Mountain West. That being said, I think the only opponent that certainly strikes fear in Boise State is Boise State themselves. I mean, they're playing themselves right now. I mean, it's their head games going on. They're battling rotations. It is them versus them, and they have a bye weekend to figure out how to beat themselves or not beat themselves. I don't know how you would phrase that, but that's what they have to do this weekend because the talent is clearly there. Overall, the roster is more talented than it was last year, but they haven't figured it out yet. They're not tougher than they were last year, and I know that that's like a thing that can really challenge teams, and maybe it might seem demeaning, but last year's teams would win brick fights. Like they loved to grind it out and get it to the final 90 seconds of a game. And then they were really good at getting stops and beating you in the final 90 seconds of a game. I went and looked this up, guys, because it was even more striking than I thought it would be. Boise State has lost 2 of their last 3 games while shooting 50% or better as a team, right? They've lost 2 of their last 3 games while shooting 50% or better as a team. In their previous 51 games, shooting 50% or better, their record was 49-2.
Oh,
And
that's capital Tust stat right there,
right.
BJ.
I need to get a siren or something when we get to the Tust stat. Now that I have a new voice, I now have control of our man Vic Orlando, the voice guy. I'm going to get him to line something, Johnny, with Tust stats here coming up.
So against Utah State, they snapped a streak of 23 straight wins when shooting 50% or better from the field. And so that's like the crazy thing about this team, because for like the first half, the offense was like really frustrating, and then they were down 17. I think the score was 56-39. They made 12 of their next 15 shot attempts, including a stretch to cap that where they made 9 of 10 attempts, with Tyson Degenhart making 7 of 8 attempts in that stretch, and Alvaro Cardenas and also Javen Buchanan sprinkled in there. They just got hot as can be. But for me, it's defense. It's getting stops when you need them, and this team has just had a tough time digging in, communicating, and getting stops when these previous 3 teams that went to the NCAA tournament would.
And what is that? Are you guys seeing that as a scheme thing? Is that just not having good enough defensive players? I mean, they don't really have a rim protector, so they're not getting a lot of block shots. And then also in that Colorado State
How was that different last year?
Yeah, they never get block shots, BJ, because they train their players, don't ever, ever, ever leave your feet.
Well, I mean, they're also Colorado State was kind of getting to the rim at will in that game. So the on-ball kind of one-on-one defense hasn't been great this year. And Alvaro Cardenas kind of said it in the post game to me. He's like, hey, this is a pride thing. Like, you should think that guy ain't scoring on you. And it should be a one-on-one. You're not going to score on me. And there's too many guys that are losing their one-on-one battles and just getting taken to the rack way too many times this year. So I don't know if the scheme needs to be adjusted for the personnel or if the personnel is just not good enough. But, I mean, this is statistically, Jay, at KenPom, the worst defense Boise State's had going back to the 2019-2020 season when they were like 13-20. I mean, they were top 30 in the country the last 3 years in defense, and they're almost out. They're like 95th or something right now. I mean, it is just not something we're used to seeing. So I agree. They've got some guys that can score the basketball. I know the 3-point shooting hasn't been good, for a good chunk of the year, but overall, the offense hasn't been the problem. It's one of the highest ranked offenses they've had in a long time at KenPom. When you go right now, they're 37th at offense, and you go back, 63, 71, 86. The 3 years they made the NCAA tournament, the last 3 years, their offense was 86, 71, and 63, and they still made the NCAA tournament because their defense was top 30. Now the offense is there; it's 37. This is probably, Jay, I'd have to keep going back here, but one of the top offenses they maybe ever had in terms of the KenPom efficiency here. As I keep going back, in 2015 it was number 50. Oh, it was number 29 in the 2013-2014 season. They finished 29th in offense. So either way, it's a historically good offense here, and I hate to say it, maybe not historically bad defense, but a rough defense. And I guess the question is, guys, at this point, the players are who they are. You're not redoing the entire scheme here midway through conference play. Like, how do you see him fixing this, Jay?
I think that you go back and you look at the last couple of years, right? And as Boise State tries to push this thing to the next level, when they kind of gotten in the big games, the NCAA tournament games, it didn't seem like they had enough firepower on offense. They would always get off to sluggish starts. They're always playing from behind. And so I think that was a kind of a conscious effort in the attempt to push this thing to the next level, get a little more depth, get a little more offense, right? And by doing that, I think they sacrificed a little bit more on defense than maybe they anticipated. I think that they thought our teams always play with energy and effort. Those are 2 key intangibles when it comes to defense. And I just don't know if they have mimicked those qualities to the level they thought they could. And so now they've sacrificed a little bit too much on defense. And I guess my question, Johnny, is this something you can fix in 6 days? Is your defense something you can fix in 6 days? You can emphasize energy and effort, but can you fix the problem in 6 days?
I think you can You can work on it. I don't know if you can fix it completely, but you can reform it. You can make it a better version of what it's been. I think it's personnel. Leon Rice said on the BNN post-game show 2 nights ago, and I quote, "They can just drive us." And I said that, I wrote it down, dude. Like, that's like little league stuff where you can just give it to your best guy and find a matchup you want because you know they're in man-to-man. And you're thinking, okay, whoever A, B, and C are on, and you can have anybody guard anybody in college basketball now. People are so smart with the way they ball screen up top where you can get the matchup you want. And Leon said it. They can just drive us. Like, we don't have to, they don't need an offense because they're just better, because we have players, speaking for Leon, they have players, Boise State does, that in my opinion aren't athletic enough to guard athletic players. And if you're going to play on the wing in major college basketball, man, there's some really good athletes here in any league. And I think they've struggled. I mean, Leon says it right there. I'm not stirring up anything with this. They can just drive us. Like, BJ, I saw it when he said that, you're just like, dang, man, like, that's so basic. So basic. They get beat man to man. So you have to recover, you have to help, and then all of a sudden you're playing, it's an uphill swim if you're a defense and you're just constantly trying to recover. You throw that in where you're not very athletic, you're not physical. This isn't a strong team like Leon's had. I'm watching the game the other night, Jay, and I'm shaking my head a little bit, not at the players, but at the youth. I'm shaking my head like, damn, they're young. I mean, it's Lockett, it's Peanut, it's Ugbo, and that's fine. You know, I think they're good players. They'll be fine. But I'm just thinking, dang, they're young on this squad. So I think, can they fix it in 6 days? No, but maybe if they play the right players and get the right schemes, maybe they can tone it down a bit. But asking for this to all of a sudden finish the year as a defensive team, not an offensive team, probably that would be a misguided statement. The two things that I look at, BJ, with the stats, they've always been good at defending the three and making the three. Look at their numbers this year at those two stats.
And Jay, I'll say this real quick before you jump in. Like, they also give up way too many like easy layups or plays where there's a miscommunication or something and there's a backdoor cut. I mean, I think like the first 2 or 3 baskets of the game for Colorado State, that big dude who's only started because the other guy was hurt, just had easy, wide open layups because somebody wasn't paying attention and they either did a back cut or a give and go of some sort or something. Just the communication breakdowns they give up. And I think Leon talked about it last week, Johnny, or one of those days where it's like, okay, all it takes is one mistake from you, one mistake from you, one mistake from you, and one from you. And that's 4 mistakes in a game, which is 8 points. And it seems like there's way too many of those. And for me, just way too many backdoor cuts. And like I said, miscommunication, easy layups. And I don't know if that's the scheme being too tough for these younger players or what the issue is there. But for me, that's a big one too, is you're right. They can't guard anybody one-on-one off the dribble or, but also too many easy baskets that add up over the course of a game.
You look at the efficiency numbers. You kind of brought that up with the Ken Palm rankings there, BJ, but Boise State this year is 1-6 when opponents shoot 46.3% or better from the field. 1-6 when they shoot 46.3% or better, meaning they're 12-1 when they limit opponents under 46%. That's not a big ask. Like, to not give up 46% shooting. That's not. And I think the thing that's even more alarming to me isn't necessarily the fact they're 1-6 when they allow above that, but it's the fact that over a third of their opponents have shot better than 46.3%. So in the years past, that this just, in my opinion, just would not have happened. At the end of the game, Abu Kijab was not going to let Neat Clifford get to the rack, and if he did, somebody was going to be on that guy to box him out, so they would not have gotten an offensive rebound because they were an elite rebounding team that would not get beat on the glass. And so that's what it comes down to. It's all of these little things that that make up the difference. And I think the thing now, and I said, like, the Boise State's battling themselves at this point in time. And like it or not, I think that pressure gets to the Broncos at the Mountain West Conference tournament because typically they haven't had a ton of success down in Las Vegas at the end of the season. And so how do they handle this pressure? This is going to be very tricky to navigate. You can't make your problems seem too big that they're unfixable, but you also have to create this sense of urgency that we got to figure this out. And so, it's going to be very delicate to try to navigate this thing. But real quick to your point too, Johnny, I wanted to elaborate or at least extend off what you said. When you look around sometimes and these guys are young, and I don't know if it stands out as much, but you look at like the two, right? Max Rice is logging like 37, 38 minutes a game last year. And so even if you do have a guy like Andrew Meadow, who, at least has some, seasoning under his belt, he's not playing that many minutes. Nobody at the two is playing that many minutes. And so now all of a sudden you're searching for 8, 9, 10 minutes a game from a young guy versus a 6th-year senior that was incredibly basketball savvy. I mean, you could say Alvaro, maybe this isn't the best apples to apples comparison because Alvaro has played a lot of basketball, but even Marcus Shaver Jr., that 6th-year senior, Mladen Armush back in the day, the guy was almost 25 years old playing college basketball. Like they had like these seasoned veterans, and Tyson's played a ton, but just like the compliments around him just don't quite add up to maybe what that was. I mean, Abu spent quite a few years in college.
He did.
You do look around at times. I mean, like they are young.
I'm with you.
Well, Andrew Meadow, and I know, Johnny, we only have you for a couple more minutes here. We appreciate you for jumping on. But
no problem.
Andrew Meadow was -10, I believe, in that loss. And you had a Javen Buchanan who was +18. And I know plus minus is not the ultimate stat in college basketball. It really isn't. There's 4 other guys on the court. There's a lot of other guys making shots, missing shots. Like it's
it's the ultimate stat that, you can make it say what you want it to say, but I agree with you, BJ. The other night, I'm not ignoring +18 in 20 minutes.
And that's second, Buchanan was largely out there during the run in the second half, which contributed for a lot of that. But again, you made the run with him on the floor. Johnny, I guess Buchanan.
Yeah.
Been up and down, but it sounds like you're there with me in terms of it's time to kind of let's just see what he can do here for a while.
I think he might be the second best player on the team, Javen Buchanan. And there has to be some warts there because I can't figure out why he's not logging 33 minutes a night playing on the wing. I can also play him at the 4. Give me a stretch 4 there. BJ, there's probably something or issues in practice or something here or there. Those guys aren't just playing him because they don't know what they're doing, right? They're playing him because for whatever reason, he's telling them or showing them these are the minutes we're giving him. For me, though, I think Javen Buchanan needs to be 34, 33-minute per night player, and I think you'll see the production let him play through his mistakes. I love his length and athleticism. Like, he dunks the ball in ways of ease that 95% of college basketball players don't. And I want to see more of that, guys. For me, I can't get enough of Buchanan, and he's positionless. Heck, he could play the 2. He could play the 3. He could play the 4 if I had to. I hate to play him at the 5, but he can rebound. He's long. Like, I think he adds a lot to this team. Yes, I want to see him moving forward. But again, if he's not playing, why he's not playing, I want to know why hasn't been a fixture in this starting lineup since, I don't know, November.
Jay, hold your thought on Buchanan for a second. Johnny, final thought from you. Just sum up your last 20 minutes here. I mean, just where are you overall with this team, the future of this team, and what can they still accomplish here, do you think, down the stretch?
Well, I mean, can Leon pull this one out? I mean, the streaks this team has been on, was it a 14-game win streak, 13, 12-game win streak a couple years before? Like, 2 of the longest win streaks in program history are in recent Leon memory. I mean, does Leon have another one of those? You got 11 games left and you're 10-1, 9-2, right at the top of the Mountain West, feeling really good about the tournament. Probably not at large. I think you have to win out or at least be 10-1 to think maybe this could be a 3-bid league. And I'm starting to think, guys, that this might be a 2-bid league this year. I'm starting to buy that. I saw net numbers. What was it? The number 1 team in the net this year, New Mexico. If you compared it to last year's net at this time, they would have been like 7th. That's crazy to think how great this league was last year compared to where it is right now, but good if you're a Boise State fan, because maybe you can factor into this mix, get to Vegas and go down, like Bon Jovi said, with a blaze of glory. And for the first time, you are kind of playing with nothing to lose in this thing. Jay, you talked about their nervousness, kind of what happens to them in that tournament. They have had stuff to lose in the past. Like, we got to win at least 2 because we're right on the bubble. We got to do that. Like they've had, it feels like in the one year they had nothing to play for in that tournament because they celebrated at Extra Mile Arena after they just won the league. I have a selfie with Max Rice to prove it. Then they go down to Vegas and they don't give a rip. What happens? It's the only time Leon won that tournament. I don't know if that's a coincidence. I would say maybe it isn't. So maybe on this team this year, they have more of that attitude than the other attitude of, don't let it slip away. Don't let it slip away. Dude, it's slipped away. You don't have it anymore, but you can reach down and get it back. And I think that starts, obviously, guys, and I'll finish with this. They got to get the hell out of the play-in round. I mean, if they got to find a couple of teams to move up with and get that position so they're playing in the opening round and not the play-in round, guys. That would be I mean, you can't win 4 games in 4 days. It's really hard. After New Mexico just did it last year, right? But really, really, really difficult to do.
Johnny, appreciate you, man. Thanks for jumping on. Jay, I'm going to keep you for a couple more minutes here, and I want to get your thoughts on this, but I do want to thank a couple of our sponsors. RoePaint.com, our title sponsor, ROEPaint.com, all your painting needs. Hit up our title sponsor, RoePaint.com. They're coming out Monday to look at a little drywall painting issue that we have in our home, so looking forward to seeing Andy Rowe and company on Monday. Hit them up, our title sponsor, all your painting needs, RoePaint.com. TacoBellWorks.com. It's a Friday night. We may be heading to Taco Bell tonight. One of the rare nights on the schedule for nothing here for the Reigns family. No baseball practices or anything, and that means a nice trip out to the Eagle Road Taco Bell location where I've seen the owner, Stan Nicolason, and his family dining. That's right. The food's so good, the owner brings his family there multiple times a week. TacoBellWorks.com. You get more information if you're looking for a job. Find out about all the money they're giving to student-athlete scholarships. Food's great. Prices are great. SON Management, the Nicolason family. Hit them up. Taco Bell. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Check them out. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Hey, today's the day. Even though the Broncos lost the other night, they did get 70 points. So you can get a hot dog and a fountain drink today for $2 using Let's Go Rewards. You got to get the Let's Go Rewards app. Download that. It's really easy. It's free. And you get a hot dog, a soda, and I think they throw a banana in too. $2 at Jackson's. Hit up any of the Treasure Valley Jackson's locations today and take advantage of the $2 hot dog and fountain drink deal at Jackson's. Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. Been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. You get more information online at thespateam.com. But whether it's a spa, whether it's a pool table, whether it's a sauna, they got you covered at Snake River Pool and Spa, patio and game. Hey, the Blue and Orange store has got your basketball jerseys. Wednesday, 8 o'clock, Broncos hosting Nevada. You can get those official Nike jerseys, same ones the players are wearing. They got them at the Blue and Orange store. They got hats, sweatshirts, all kinds of Boise State gear, polo shirts. If you're a Boise State fan, I know there's a lot of options around town, but if you want the best value, the best prices, and a big supporter in the NIL game too, in terms of Travis Hawks and what they're doing for the program, look no further than the Blue and Orange store. You can order online, theblueandorangestore.com, or anywhere in the world online, but also just come into the Boise Town Square Mall there, the second floor next to Pro Image. Hey, next week they're going to announce some new NIL deals. Lithia Ford of Boise stepping up again to provide some vehicles for some of your favorite athletes at Boise State. A couple new football players have inked deals with Lithia Ford of Boise. We will tell you about it next week. They're going to have their big unveil, I believe, on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that, and we'll be out there getting some footage and stuff. But Lithia Ford Boise continuing to step up the NIL game. They are stepping up. They're backing it up. They're putting their money where their mouth is. One of the biggest supporters of Boise State athletics is Lithia Ford of Boise, and we appreciate them and their support of Bronco Nation News as well. So for that next car or truck purchase, head on out to our friends at Lithia Ford of Boise. Back here on a Friday edition of Bronco Nation News Live. It's an ICCU Friday edition where we appreciate Johnny for jumping on, and they had something and they had to record in the studio at 9:30. So we appreciate him for making some time. Jay, where are you in terms of, we kind of got the discussion rolling and never got back to you in terms of your starting five or your at least key rotation guys. I know Leon always says it's who finishes the game, not who starts it. So theoretically, the quote unquote starting five, it doesn't really matter. But in terms of the guys that you want to see to get the bulk of the action here moving forward, where are you at on this?
Without knowing the complete depths of and the mindset of these guys, I mean, this is a little bit of a guess, but yeah, I think Javen Buchanan, you gotta ride or die with him. Obviously, you have Omar and Alvaro, and then I'm right there with you on Omar. They need him, and I know it's a situation that's a little more tricky than it might seem, but they need him, and I just think that at the end of this thing, if you don't achieve what you want to, but Omar Stanley's logging 30 minutes for you, I just think you know that you went down with your best shot. Like I think that's just the way that it is. Outside of that, I think the two gets a little tricky. Could it be Drew? I like the way Bowie is aggressive. He shoots the ball pretty well. I like that. They've got to figure it out. And all that I know is that the moment that the moment that Javen had that like step through dunk, that really that was the moment that Boise State was really like, okay, we're back in this thing. That was a moment for me where I'm like, you gotta play this guy and just see what happens. And you got to go to him. These starting lineup things happen. These adjustments happen usually in only a day or two because there are such short turnarounds. Right now, you have 6 days to say, buddy, we're going with you. And you need to prepare for the next 11 games plus like you are a dude and you're going to start. And you need to figure out a way to stay out of foul trouble. And we need you on defense. And you go from there. I also kind of an underlying story. I loved the aggressiveness of Tyson Degenhart in the second half, man. Like he seemed like a man on a freaking mission, and he almost put that team on his back and willed them to a victory. That 3-pointer he hit, I was like, oh my gosh, that's one of the biggest shots of Tyson's career. Like he knocks that thing down to cap a stretch where he made 7 of 8 shots during a stretch where Boise State made 12 of 15 shots to erase a 17-point deficit and take a 2-point lead.
Unfortunately, his last one rimmed out, though, man. If he could have just had one more in him in the corner, that would have been
it. It would have. It was a good shot, good look.
If the referee calls out of bounds to Boise State, I don't think they changed that. I don't know if you had a better replay than I saw in the arena, but I couldn't tell who that ball was out of, and I think they were going to keep it whichever way they originally called it.
Yep. Yeah, you're exactly right. That 3 from Tyson, though, I mean, at that point in time, nobody I would have rather had taking it, loved it. The moment went up, I thought, I mean, I had no reason to believe he wasn't going to make that thing. I guess just for me, sometimes I'm like, I said this before the New Mexico game, and then we saw it at the New Mexico game. Like, why can't, I don't know if that needs to be encouraged or what. Like, why can't that be it from the jump? I mean, Tyson can go get his when he wants to. And late in that game, for whatever reason, Colorado State also wasn't bringing a double team. Like, I don't know what that was about, but he was, and he would just go to work. Like, would love to see that aggressiveness and those types of touches for Tyson earlier in ball games, and just let everybody know this is our dude, and you're going to have to figure out a way to beat him. I mean, it's Ashton Genty getting 20 first half carries or 21 first half carries against Oregon State. Like, it's going to be a long day at the office for you guys, and our best dudes getting the ball.
And I think Leon Rice even said it one time, like he wants guys like Tyson taking an occasional bad shot or two, like just keep shooting. Like sometimes Tyson is a little too like got to be wide open or got to have a great shot or a play right for him. But sometimes no, you're the best. You're the preseason conference player of the year. Like you can take bad shots once in a while because you're still going to make some of them. And you're right, man. We've talked too many times. We've sat there at Extra Mile Arena at halftime and going, why does Tyson Degenhart have 4 shot attempts? Like, what are we doing here? I mean, like,
it's not even that. It'll be like 4 of them and 3 3-point attempts, and he shot lights out from 3 lately, so that's not the problem. But I'm just like, why does he only have one like paint touch or something like that. Like he's so good at finishing around the rim and getting to the free throw line and drawing contact. And he's been great at the free throw line this season. Like you've got to exploit that earlier in ball games.
I hate to phrase it like this, Jay, but let's go to the other end here. Who are the 2 or 3 or 4 guys, if Leon does shorten the bench here, that you think are probably odd man out? And I'm not going to phrase it necessarily as who do you want to see as the odd man out, but just they're not going to play 11. That's pretty clear at this point. How far they go, if it's 7 or 8, I'm guessing it's probably 8. I'm guessing there's 3 guys for sure that probably won't play in the next game. Maybe it's 7. We'll kind of see. Obviously, it depends how the game's going. This is a scary game, by the way. Nevada's record is not good, but they've got some pretty good players. They've lost a lot of close games. Where are you on the other end of the spectrum? And obviously nothing personal for anybody, but if Leon says he's cutting it down, we got to cut it down. Who do you see probably is the odd man out here?
I could be so wrong in this, but I do want to see maybe how things shake out if Meadow comes back off the bench. I'm interested in sending
your rotation. Meadows still getting 20. I think still should get his 15 to 20 minutes a game.
I guess I'm interested to see, the mindset of a starter versus a reserve is interesting because as a starter, you kind of like dip your toe into the. I mean, I know you come out with. I get it. You come out with a sense of urgency and all that stuff, but still, like you're starting. The first possession of a game is just typically it can be a little more relaxed. Like. You just kind of feel like, okay, I'm going to take up possessions here. We're going to get into the flow and the rhythm of the game. When you come off the bench, it's like, nah, you're right into the fryer, right? Like you've got to figure it out. And so I just wonder if maybe that change in mindset helps a guy like Chris Lockett, who I think is going to be a great freaking basketball player. But maybe that change in mindset all of a sudden is like, okay, sense of urgency from the moment I jump on the floor is like, gotta get into the game. There's no wasted possessions here.
He turned it over, literally just lost the ball out of bounds on the very first possession of the game in the last game.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's going to be a really good basketball player.
I agree,
but like the consistency isn't quite there right now, and so
all these guys are. I think Pearson Carmichael's going to be great.
Yeah.
I think Julian Bowie's going to be great. I still, I still think Meadow and Buchanan both have like I know nobody wants to hear it, but I mean, if you can find the right pieces in the portal this year, they got a really nice young nucleus here moving forward if they can keep all of them. But yeah, and it's funny, people keep calling this a quote unquote young team. I mean, you have 3-4 multiple year starters that are seniors. It's hard for me to call it a young team when you have Stanley, Cardenas, and Degenar, but behind them, you have a ton of sophomores and freshmen that haven't played. And I don't know if Boise State overvalued those guys in terms of being ready right now for these kind of roles, and maybe they did. I do think I agree with you. There's a lot of those guys that have major improvements moving forward, but I think that has been a little bit of the problem to this point too. Some of those guys maybe just not quite being ready for these bigger roles.
I guess maybe like in terms of speculating who might deserve less minutes or whatever. I guess the thing I'm trying to figure out this week is who wants to lean in and embrace some roles. Who's the guy on this team, starter or reserve, that wants to rebound like his freaking life depends on it? I mean, that was Mladen Armush back in the day would roll out of bed and said, I'm going to go get 18 rebounds tonight and 7 on the offensive glass. And I really don't care what else happens. Like, who is the guy that is going to have that attitude, that is going to rebound like his life depended on it? That my sole mission tonight, I am not letting you get an offensive rebound against me. Like, who is the guy that can just lean into that role? Not 100%, 1,000%. Like, they need some of those guys to like really, really lean into their roles. And I think that's kind of what this is about. Like in years past, and it had to do with the fact that it was a shortened bench. Like you knew your role because there was no ambiguity of the role. Now, switching starting lineups, using more bodies, like you're trying to figure out more pieces to this puzzle. Guys got to lean into their roles, and whether that is playing 38 minutes or 2, they've got to really start to identify and lean into who plays what role, and almost quit the guessing game of which starting 5 is the best. There's 11 games to go, BJ. Like they're 2/3 of the way through this thing. Like the guessing has to be over.
Yeah, and I said, Leon, I did the interview not live on the show because I thought I might get some better stuff out of him if he knew it wasn't live and just kind of having more of a conversation. And that turned out to be the case. I thought he was pretty open. And kind of one of the questions I said is like, is this the most difficult stretch of your career? One of the most difficult stretches in terms of just not being able to figure out who the rotation and who you have and what. And he said, yeah, he said, just because of the inconsistency. And he's made the whole analogy, Jay, about he's pulls it in his wallet looking for a 20, and sometimes he gets a 5, sometimes he gets a 50 or whatever. It's been great some days and terrible some days. And he just, and again, I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's players. And a lot of the people in the chat and stuff would say it's on the coaches if you don't know who your rotation is at this point in the season. But again, a counter to that is these guys are not taking advantage of the opportunities when they get them. You may have thought you knew 5 games ago who that was, and now a lot of those guys haven't done much. So I guess final thing for you, big picture, kind of how I asked Johnny, just where are you here, big picture with this team? The failed, expectations of being the preseason Mountain West favorite, now sitting in 6th place, and just, where the blame should go, and can they salvage this? And just what do you make big picture of all this?
Unfortunately, because of their past 3 years and the expectations they created due to that success and the preseason hype this year around them, the NCAA tournament talk might not be reasonable at this point in time, but it's going to be something they're going to have to continue to deal with because that's just not going to go away. That's the expectation now. And so whether they lose or win, that's going to be a part of the discussion just because that's where they've played themselves into. And so that being said, it's probably not reasonable, but they have to figure out a way to get this done. And I mean, I'm not saying they can't go to Vegas and win it, but we've covered this team a long time now, and this might suck to say, and I get that, but I have a tough time banking on that being their most realistic path to the NCAA tournament because they've done it once. They've done it once in all the years of playing in this league. And so they've got to figure out
their only choice or their only hope.
It might be, but they've got to figure out a way to get hot. And the one thing I will say, I was going to say this earlier, typically Leon Rice's teams at Boise State, especially these last few years, they have been nearly unbeatable in January. And then in February, and this might be a scheduling thing, BJ. I mean, there could definitely be some coincidental stuff to this. But it's typically January where their win percentage is like 85, 90% over these last few years. They win a lot in the month of January. And then in February, it typically, slides back to, a little over 500, 600, somewhere around there. Can they just flip the script on these months? Is January the month where they take some of their growing pains or whatever it might be and then turn that into an unbelievable February? There's always recency bias in sports. And so they still have that potential carrot hanging in front of them. If they get hot, they'll have recency bias in front of them. They still have, potential road games, at Nevada, at San Diego State, still on the schedule. But it's going to be a lot for them to try to figure this out and get it done. Eager to see it, though. I guess my one question for you, BJ, and I know I'm this is a dangerous question because I'm already over time. Leon said big changes are coming. In 40 seconds, can you tell me what when he says that, if he didn't give you anything specific, what are the true things that your instincts, are screaming at you, this is the change?
My first thought was the Batman movie where Joker or whoever it was breaks the broomstick and says, we're going to have tryouts. He said, hey, he goes, we're not going to run our guys into the ground, but I'm not going to give them as much time off here as they may think they're getting with a week off. We got to get back to work and figure some things out. So I think they're going to have a couple hard days of practice and figure out the guys that want to rebound and want to defend. And that's where I think it starts for this team. Who are their better defenders and who are their better rebounders? And those are going to be the guys that are going to get minutes here moving forward. I think Buchanan definitely is going to get his 30 minutes. I think I hate to say it, but Anderson's probably not going to see the floor very much. Carmichael, we'll see, but I'm not sure if he's going to see the floor very much. Keene, I like him. Great dude, provides a lot. He might be a guy that's a candidate, unfortunately, to be an odd man out. Just look at guys that haven't played a lot here already. I think the big change is you're going to see 4 guys well over 30 minutes in that game. Whoever they roll with, they're going to roll with them, and you are not going to see a lot of changes. I still think they probably get 8 guys to play, but you're going to have the 7th or 8th guys getting 5 to 8 minutes. I think they just pick a lineup, and, you have foul trouble and other stuff that matters, but I think you're going to see some guys not come off the floor very much in this next game and kind of see how that shakes out. But
I think we kind of said that prior to this last game, even last week. Like that
I
was
said
that's kind of
I talked about it with you, and I said on the pregame show, like I want to see. I said before that Colorado State game, and I'm not saying I was right, whatever. Everybody's been saying it, but I said you can go find the tape that Buchanan and Bowie. But I wanted to see both of them playing way more even before the Colorado State game. So it is kind of puzzling to me, and I guess I'll finish with this though, that like it has the Buchanan one's weird for me because I just don't understand what. Johnny's like there must be something else going on, or maybe defensively he's not at the level they want him to, or something, because he does look like a guy that it should be pretty obvious to the coaches by now. And I think now I'd be shocked if he doesn't start the next game, but I don't really understand why it's taken this long for them to realize that Buchanan's one of their better players.
You need him to defend, and you need him to rebound like a 6'7" dude with that's long and athletic. Like you need him to go get the ball off the rim. And because clearly the scoring ability is there, and I'm excited to see if he can rise to that occasion.
All right, I gotta don't go anywhere, folks. I'm gonna make an announcement or just an update, I guess, on the private jet trip and a few other things. So we'll keep this going for a little longer. But Jay, appreciate you as always, man. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you Tuesday, man.
Sounds good, bud.
There he is, Jay Tust, sports director over at KTVB. Appreciate him for jumping on. Again, I'm going to make an update on the private jet trip and a couple things here in a second, so don't go anywhere. But do want to thank Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley for a reason is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. When you buy or sell a home with Matt, you get to meet everybody in the picture there because the personalized service is just unmatched every step of the way. Check them out online, BauscherRealEstate.com. Our friends at Ridley's Family Markets, shop Ridley's.com. 13 locations across the state of Idaho, Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, up in McCall, surrounding states as well, almost 30, I believe, in total. So when you go into a Ridley's, just a great hometown grocery store feel, friendly staff, great environment, and great prices as well. You can download that Skip app, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Visit our friends at Ridley's Family Markets. Hey, looking for a job? How about transportation compliance service? Transcomservice.com. They can get you into the trucking industry, transcomservice.com. You can give them a call, 866-813-7620. Company based here in the Treasure Valley, helping folks all over the United States. So if you're looking to get into the trucking industry, highly recommend transportation compliance service. If you're looking to eat healthy or just eat easy is what the more important thing I would say. Just if you don't want to deal with cooking meals and you want to eat steak and shrimp and chicken and fish and delicious food on a daily basis, go hit up our friends at Lean Feast. LeanFeastMeridian.com is the website. The graphic's wrong there at the bottom. It's LeanFeastMeridian.com. 10,000 plus combinations. It's fresh, not frozen. It's fully customizable by the ounce. You get a carb, a veggie, a protein. It's tremendous. Tyson Degenhardt's working with them. You've got the football team. You've got the basketball team getting weekly meals from them. And they deliver anywhere in the Treasure Valley. So it's good in your refrigerator 5 days. Order on a Sunday and Monday, and you have lunch all week. 2 minutes in the microwave is all it is. And you're eating steak, shrimp, just tremendous meals. Highly recommend it, folks. Hit them up, our friends at Lean Feast. Those voicemails, keep them coming. I think Monday or Tuesday I'm going to check and we'll play some. Was trying to wait till we had a couple. I know Bob Schuler put one in. I believe somebody else might have as well. Speakpipe.com/BNN. We'll get to those. Speakpipe.com/BNN. And it's brought to you by our friends at Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection, they got you covered. All your roofing needs. Make sure you hit up our sponsor, Signature Roofing, at mysignatureroofing.com. All right. I'll be completely honest, folks. I am ready to give this trip away. I've been waiting to give this trip away, and we just can't finalize a couple of the details with our sponsors that are making this happen, with the jet, with the hotel. And it's going to have to be until Monday probably. So I apologize. I know you guys are waiting. It's not going to be ideal because we're 10 days from the trip on Monday and you're going to have last minute notice to get off work, but I just can't quite give the trip away if I don't have all the details confirmed and 100% confirmed. I don't want to tell somebody they won and then have something pop up. So I apologize. I'm sorry. There's nothing else going on except behind the scenes. With all my travel and waiting for people to call me back and just everything else the last week or two, there's just some logistical logistical issues going on behind the scenes. So I apologize. I know all of you are waiting for us to give this away. It is what it is, and I just can't quite do it yet. So the worst thing would be to tell somebody they won and this is the plan and what time we're leaving, and then have to change the schedule and something else. So I apologize. We are working on this. This is a very expensive trip, obviously, for a private jet trip down to Las Vegas, and Circa's involved, and there's just a lot of things going on, and I would like to give the trip away. I would have liked to have done it 2 weeks ago, but we are so thankful and grateful for the sponsors and the folks that are making this happen that we just have to work with them and make this happen when we can. So I'm confident the trip is still happening. I'm just not quite ready to be able to give it away yet and then have something pop up. So I apologize. I hope you understand. It is what it is right now. And I hope by Monday we can give this thing away. I know I told you it was going to be today, but with going to Colorado and just not being able to connect and like I said, dot some I's and cross some T's, I don't feel 100% comfortable giving it away yet and then having something change. So I apologize, and we will get it done as soon as we can. We will be giving it away hopefully Monday. That is my goal. I can't promise it, but my goal is Monday, and I hope you all understand. And it is what it is. And so I know some of you have bought subscriptions solely for the purpose of this trip or to try to win it. I appreciate that. I thank you. And we just are not quite ready to do that yet. So that is the update on that. Looking forward to seeing Mr. Buchanan in Vegas. There you go. Yeah, looking forward to that. I'll actually have 2 trips to Vegas in like a 5-day span because my wife and I, for the 3rd year in a row, are going down for the Super Bowl. And speaking of that, that reminds me, I am just going to throw a quick shameless plug out there. My son is selling Super Bowl squares for his baseball team. If anybody is interested, you can send me a DM or an email if you're, not necessarily to help me out, but if you just want a little stake in the Super Bowl and want to get in a squares contest, we got some left for my kids' baseball team that we are trying to help sell and fill the board. So if you're interested, reach out to me. We can hook you up. We've got, I think it's $50 a square or something, but there's some pretty good payouts for the winnings, and you're helping out youth baseball here in the Treasure Valley and my son as well. So if you are interested, let me know, reach out. That's an aside. Sorry, we're not quite ready to give the trip away. Should still be happening. I just need to finalize some details, and we'll get to that hopefully on Monday. So that is the update on that. Seems like the trips work better later in the year. We've had the trip happen twice. We went to Vegas the first year. Boise State played great and won, and then went to San Diego last year. Boise State won in overtime. So Vegas is the game we're looking at, and should still be happening, just not quite ready to announce that yet. Let's see. Any other comments here on the chat? Again, hoping everybody has a good weekend, and we will have a full week of shows next week, the 8 p.m. game next Wednesday. Been weird. I'm right there with you guys. It's been, there you go. Shout out to Meridian Youth Baseball. Played for North Boise during my run. Always all-star squads. Yeah. I got one son playing for Meridian and one son playing for Ignite. So we got two kids playing select baseball this spring and summer. So that's going to take up a lot of our time moving forward here, but nothing better than seeing your kids have fun, get out there and play some baseball, and happy to be helping out coaching one of my kids' teams and being a proud parent of the other son's team as well. But East Boise and Meridian always have a great rivalry. Yeah, there's a lot of great youth baseball. It's been pretty cool, actually, the number of select and all-star kind of baseball clubs and teams that have popped up and the facilities that have popped up. Youth baseball in the Treasure Valley, I believe, is pretty strong right now, and it's pretty cool to see. And you've had a handful of players that have reached the major leagues from the Treasure Valley. You've had a couple pitchers, couple position players that have made the major leagues from the Treasure Valley, a couple others that are on the cusp, in double AAA. So it's pretty cool. And like I said, seeing from experience here at the younger level, you got some really good players at the 9, 10, 11, 12 range, and we'll see, what happens here moving forward. Let's see. Is Stanley going to be sitting? He says he starts last game and ends up with 12 minutes. Bizarre. That's one of the changes I would make, is just ride with him. I think Stanley needs to play 30 minutes. I know it hasn't been great for him. He's dealing with some mental, challenges right now. And that's why I think that, criticizing Omar Stanley is probably not the best move right now. He's got a lot going on, and I think that he needs to just get out there and play for a game and see what happens. Get Boucher on. That is a goal for next week. We'll try to get Matt Boucher on next week, and maybe Wednesday in advance of the game Wednesday night, and see his thoughts on things. Yes, I would say Boucher needs to probably be on. Do you really think Stanley wants to be on the floor? I believe so. If he didn't want to, I don't think they'd be playing, and they're not forced. I mean, if he needs to step away from the team or something, if it's that bad, I think he would have done that. So I do think he wants to, and I think he wants to contribute and be a big part of this team for his final year of college here. And I think that still can happen here moving forward. Yes, there will be a promo code for Circa. Hope you all will stay at Circa for the Mountain West tournament. That's another thing I've been trying to finalize this week with Circa is the promo code. I think they're going to have a Mountain West wide kind of promo code. And stay tuned for that. We're going to have a event at Circa where there may be other teams involved, and we're going to see if we can get Boise State to have the biggest crowd at the event, which may come with some extra drink tickets and things like that. So they're going to maybe do a little contest among some of the Mountain West fan bases. And if we can get the biggest crowd for Boise State fans and BNN to show up at the event, then I think there'll be some prizes and things for the winning school. So they're going to have a couple cool events at Circa. Plan to stay at Circa or the D down on Fremont Street. But if you want to hold off, I'm trying to get you a promo code for your room to save you 15% or so, because obviously a weekend at Circa sometimes is not cheap. But the D is a great option. Stayed there with my family last week. It's a great option there. And we are not sure on the day yet. We're looking at Friday. Again, very tough because you don't know what seed Boise State's going to get. In the past, we've done it on Wednesday night before the tournament starts on Thursday. Wednesday night is the play-in round game, though, and there's a chance Boise State could be playing in that. So tentatively, it could be Wednesday evening. So if you want to come in, Tuesday night or Wednesday morning in case Boise State does have to play on Wednesday, then we'll do it Wednesday night. We also were going to do one last year on Friday. Well, we still did it, but it rained and they lost to do it Friday morning before they played in the semifinals that night. So Friday is also an option during the day. You just have to hope Boise State can win on Thursday. So I think Friday, like noon, might be something hanging out by the pool during the day before the games start at 6. We're still hoping to maybe do that again, but just plan to hang out at Circa and the D at the Mountain West tournament. We'll have more details to come, and we are looking to get a promo code, so stay tuned for more information on that. Let's see if Stanley can get out of his funk, this team will look very different. I agree. And again, not trying to put too much pressure on Omar Stanley. That's part of the problem. He's got a lot of, confidence issues that he's working through right now. And if you ever talk to Omar Stanley, you're not going to find just a better young man. I mean, just a great representative of the program. And that's why it's just really tough to see his confidence where it is. And he talked about some of the mental health issues that he's going through right now a week or two ago. So stay behind Omar Stanley, keep cheering for him. And I know that, he's hoping to turn it around. And if he can, then I think that's a big deal. I have not heard of an injury, Jared. I don't believe there's an injury there, but I'm not going to go too much further on it than that. So appreciate you guys for joining us today. Again, you watched it over an hour show for free on YouTube. So please support our sponsors. Our great sponsors, Taco Bell and Jackson's are not included on that banner behind me. We need to get them added. But if you can go to Jackson's today, got our Jackson's cup right here. Don't forget, today is the day. You get the $2 hot dog and soda over at Jackson's. $2 hot dog, soda, banana at Jackson's today with using that Let's Go reward app with the Broncos scoring 70 points the other night. So no basketball for Boise State this weekend. You got the conference championship games on Sunday. You got the Chiefs playing Sunday night. Going to be a fun Sunday watching football. Hope everybody has a great weekend. And I'm excited to not have a road trip this weekend, just get to hang out with the family. And it's going to be nice to have next week, all week at home as well, with 2 home games coming up. It's been a crazy travel schedule and stuff here of late. So excited to have, I think it's 11 days at home before that trip to Las Vegas. So appreciate you guys. Support the sponsors. Subscribe if you can. BNN 50 deal is the promo code. BNN 50 deal is the promo code, and that gets you a full year subscription for $50. And we're putting up a Nathan Carroll article. Nathan Carroll dives into some of the numbers of this basketball team and looks back at the tape. He rewatched the Colorado State game and wrote some of his thoughts, in terms of what he saw. So we'll have that posted in about a half an hour or so. Check back to BroncoNationNews.com. And appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for your support. Go support the sponsors. Go subscribe if you can. Go hit up Jackson's and get that hot dog and soda deal for $2. And we'll talk to you with Mike Prater on Monday morning. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com.
It's It's game day. Are you ready?
Let's go!
Bronco Nation News is presented by RowPaint.com, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, by Lithia Ford, The Blue and Orange Store, Western Collective, by Jackson's, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bauscher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, by Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and by Timberstone Golf Course.